Gandhi's annual Cambridge outing has attracted the expected reaction. Fresh off the Bharat Jodo Yatra, the Congress leader headed off to Cambridge in a new look, but with the same and perhaps renewed point of attack. During a lecture at Cambridge Judge Business School titled Learning to Listen in the 21st Century, the MP raked up the Pegasus row once again. He claimed his phone was infected with the controversial Israeli spyware and talked about how Indian democracy had been blown to smithereens by Prime Minister Modi. These remarks didn't go down well. They've drawn sharp reaction from the BJP. Union Minister Anurag Thakur says Rahul Gandhi is maligning India on foreign shores with foreign friends and is obsessed with Pegasus. Let's first listen in to what Rahul Gandhi said and the reactions that have come in.
Capture and control of media and the judiciary, surveillance and intimidation. I myself had Pegasus on my phone. Large number of politicians have Pegasus on my phone, on their phone. I've been called by intelligence officers who tell me, listen, please be careful what you're saying on the phone because we are sort of recording this stuff. So this is a constant pressure that we feel. Because in my view, Narendra Modi is destroying the architecture of India. So I'm not too bothered about 2 or 3 good policies that he's doing if he's blowing my country to smithereens or our country to smithereens, right? And I think that's what he's doing. I think he is imposing an idea on India that India cannot absorb, right? India, as I said, is a union of states. It's a negotiation. And if you try to force one idea on a union, it'll react.
नतीजे क्या आएंगे उनको पता था और ये पेगासस कहीं और नहीं उनके दिलो दिमाग पर बैठा हुआ है। भारत को बदनाम करने की आदत बन गई। देश को बदनाम करने की ये साजिश बार-बार जो विदेशी धरती से होती है, कभी विदेशी दोस्तों के माध्यम से होती है, ये अपने आप में प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा करता है कि कांग्रेस का एजेंडा क्या है। क्या संवैधानिक संस्थाओं में भी कांग्रेस का विश्वास खत्म हो गया है? क्या भारत के लोकतंत्र पर बार-बार प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा करने का काम ये कांग्रेस करती रहेगी? दिवालियापन और भी नजर आया जब विदेशी धरती पर जाकर भारत को बदनाम करने का कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी।
So the questions really are these Cambridge lectures, and there was one last year as well, and a similar controversy. Are they doing anything for the cause of the Congress and the opposition in this country? Is there any point in Rahul Gandhi airing his woes to academics in the UK at a time when his party is getting decimated in an erstwhile stronghold of the Northeast? As the recent election results in 3 states have shown, is he in fact squandering gains made during the Bharat Jodo Yatra? And lastly, is the BJP overreacting to these statements made at Cambridge by saying they're maligning India? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Toheen Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP. Achal Malhotra, former ambassador, is with me on the show because I want to understand what really is the impact of this on India's image diplomatically as is being talked about. Tehseen Poonawalla, political analyst, with us. Swati Malik, spokesperson of the Congress party, also with us. Welcome to all of you and thank you so much for joining us. Swati Malik, let me begin with you. Why is Rahul Gandhi making these statements at Cambridge? The BJP's charge, you heard the Union Minister, his charge is that Rahul Gandhi has Pegasus in his head. It went up to the Supreme Court, nothing came out of it. He's going on foreign shores and talking about Indian democracy and maligning the country. Why is he doing that?
Anna, let's start with the first point of Pegasus and the decision that came from the Supreme Court about the Pegasus. I'm sure you will recall, because you would have done lots of debates and discussions on the fact that the report, the special committee report that was submitted to the Supreme Court did say that the government did not cooperate, and that is the reason the Supreme Court said that the verdict was, that's how the Supreme Court gave the verdict. But the committee's finding, the committee's observation that the government did not cooperate with the investigation, I think that talks a lot about what the government is trying to hide, what it was trying to cover up, and why that is there is no reason. If you're being accused by the opposition, and not just the Congress, there's a whole line of those the leaked list that was out for Pegasus. There's a whole line of people, of politicians, of high bureaucrats, of judiciary, everybody all across the country, right? So it is not just about Rahul Gandhi's phone, but it is about those other people as well.
No, but
And
1 minute. Swati Malik, are you saying that Pegasus is a political issue for the Congress right now?
not at all.
My question is, are you politically living in a parallel universe where, recent elections have not taken place? One of your former colleagues who's now moved to the BJP, Jaivir Shergill, has tweeted today how out of 180 seats which were up for grabs, which were on polls in these 3 states, Congress is not there on 172.
But
आप
Tamanna,
Pegasus की बातें करें. I'm asking that, is it politically making sense for you? What is the strategy?
But Pegasus is a very important aspect. That just show what was the lecture that Mr. Gandhi was giving in Cambridge. What was he talking about? He was talking about how democracy is being threatened by the BJP. That is what the discussion was.
Okay.
That is what the topic was. And that is
Okay.
how
Tuhin
Pegasus
Sinha-
came up, and not just
Tuhin
Pegasus.
Sinha, it's in context. It's in context. It's in context. We ran some excerpts. The Congress is saying there's a context to those Pegasus comments. Rahul Gandhi was invited to give this lecture. He is talking about the state of Indian democracy as he, a member of the opposition, sees it. And in his view, it's dismal. So he's going and saying that. What is the problem?
Well, good evening, Tamanna. Good evening, Tamanna. Good evening to all the viewers, and my special congratulations to Tehseen. As a well-wisher, I would have wanted him to spend time with his newborn, but he chose to defend the indefensible antics of Rahul Gandhi. But anyway, my heartiest congratulations to him. See, Tamanna, there is a pattern in Rahul Gandhi's mischievous behavior, and today at least, let us refrain from giving him that benefit of doubt. Even last year, he had followed a similar pattern where he went to UK, where he praised China's idea of bringing prosperity to the world. Do you realize the implication of what he said? He was clearly endorsing China's debt diplomacy, which has wreaked economic havoc upon the world. Such a person cannot be acting without an agenda. Today the question mark is, whose agenda or whose line is he towing? Is it George Soros's line? Is it Jeremy Corbyn, his friend who he met on the previous visit? Or it is Amrit Pal Sandhu's? Because you look at the stark similarity of words. Union of states. He doesn't even realize what Baba Saheb Ambedkar has equally said, that
Union of
India's
States,
union is not a negotiated settlement.
No, but 1 minute. Tuhin, what is the problem with Union of States?
No, you have to look at the mischievous way he has used the word negotiation in the same statement. It is Baba Saheb Ambedkar of all people who has very clearly specified that India's union of states is not a negotiated settlement. It is a indestructible union of destructible states. So, look at the context in which he has very clearly induced the word negotiation as a necessity. Secondly, let me come back to the issue where he talks about persecution of minorities. In the 2 state elections yesterday, Nagaland and Meghalaya are minority-dominated states. Is he trying to say that minorities would vote for us because they are being persecuted in India? Look at the way he is demonizing India's democracy. To that extent, he's throwing
Tuhin, so there are 2-3 things.
Report.
There are 2-3 points here. 1 minute.
BJP is funded by George Soros' Open Society Fund.
Okay, so now you brought in George Soros, you brought in China, you brought in, Punjab militants into all of this, and all of them.
I'm giving you the context.
It seems like a big conspiracy. Are you saying everyone sat together and wrote Rahul Gandhi's speech and everyone has contributed to this? Are you taking it too seriously? Is this really demonizing India's image? My question is this really demonizing India's image? He's an opposition leader. He says this here, he'll say this there. It's his role in a democratic setup to criticize your government. And he's doing that.
No, I think, Tamanna, you're getting it wrong. There are 6 mischievous narratives which he has propagated yesterday. 1, the persecution of minorities, which is absolutely false. Democracy, the non-existence of democracy, where he's towing VDEM, Reports Institute. Who is funding VDEM? We know George Soros's Open Society Fund. He's talking about Union of States, again, putting it in a completely false context, certainly not the way an opposition leader should be talking or insisting upon that abroad. Then he's talking about Pegasus. We know for a fact that the Pegasus issue has been settled by the Supreme Court committee. If Rahul Gandhi is still doubtful, we have advised him to at least file an FIR first. If at all he's so convinced about Pegasus, probably his Chinese friends may have planted it. The government has nothing to do with it. Finally, he praises CCP, which he did twice, like I mentioned to you, even on the previous occasion. Why would he endorse China's dead diplomacy on a platform, on a foreign platform, when we know that, when just the previous day, the Wuhan lab leak story only got legitimized? And finally, on the issue of Pulwama, again, he has used the word militant, not terrorist. He has made a delusional story that, I met some extremist on my recent Bharat Jodo Yatra. Whatever, I saw him with love and he reciprocated back. So I think, the guy is delusional, but the way he is talking about India abroad is certainly causing us embarrassment.
Is he delusional or is he dangerous? Tehseen, I have to bring Tehseen in because you sort of pipped me in congratulating him on air. Tehseen, for our viewers who don't know, you've recently become a dad. Many, many congratulations. You've just brought your baby home. But I also, commend your sincerity to take part in all of our debates. So I'm glad to have you here. What is Rahul Gandhi trying to achieve by doing this? This Cambridge lecture is for whom? He's a politician at the end of the day. All he's allowing is the BJP to poke holes in his claims and also attach sinister motives to it that Tuhin Sinha has talked about. All of these claims are going to go viral and there are going to be sinister motives attached to his speech.
Thank you, Tamanna, and thank you for the good wishes, and thank you to Tuhin for the good wishes. And I would have played with my child, except he's sleeping right now, so I thought I'd do something more productive. There's not only one man in this country who works 18 hours, there are others also who work more than 18 hours. Some of them are like me. But let's come to the more substantive points that were raised. One, if it is wrong to criticize India abroad or to speak about Indian governance abroad, which is the point Tuhin is making, the most honorable Prime Minister, for whom we all have a lot of respect, said this, that none of us were proud to be Indians until he became Prime Minister in 2014. Now, Tamanna, I can speak about myself. I was very proud to be Indian even prior to 2014. The most honorable Prime Minister goes on to add in another place, abroad, that वो आजकल 60 साल का कूड़ा साफ कर रहे. For your viewers in English, he's cleaning the garbage of the country for 60 years. To go abroad and for somebody sitting on the highest constitutional post to use these words about this country, I think says a lot. But I don't want to attribute motives to the Prime Minister as Tuhin would attribute motives to Rahul Gandhi. Tuhin also perhaps has not read the Constitution of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Therefore, I'm showing him the Constitution. The first page of the Constitution says India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. And yes, there was a negotiation in signing of the instrument of accession. Therefore, on 15th August 1947, not everyone joined India. Tuhin, this is not WhatsApp history. This is mirror now. We got to be extremely serious. In fact, the most honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, the state that you all won elections yesterday in Nagaland, even now his government is in a negotiation with the insurgents. Negotiation is the official word of the government of India. So let's not attribute motives to Rahul Gandhi. Like I said, it's mirror now, not WhatsApp. Let's come to the factual
but you've
points.
not answered my question. No, 1 minute. Tehseen, you've not answered my question. My question is, what is he achieving? I have asked this question. I have asked this question that if there were any gains made from the Bharat Jodo Yatra, have they been squandered here at Cambridge? Who is the constituency that he's politically speaking to? What is he trying to say? Is there a cogent, lucid argument even coming out of his speech?
एक बार off करके on करिए, दो switch off कर दीजिए.
I think the point that he's trying to reach out to an audience, which is beyond a traditional media, that he does not get a space that he does not get in India. Look, I agree. And the channels like yours and journalists like you're very neutral, who are asking objective questions on both sides. But I think the problem that the Congress is facing, and I'm just saying this as a political analyst who understands the Congress, is it does not have a space to articulate its point of view or its view across. So I think they take every opportunity to say what they stand for. And what they stand for is a liberal democracy as opposed to an authoritarian regime, which one reflects in the current government. So I think he's trying to use spaces that are made available to him, whether it's Bharat Jodo or
Okay.
elsewhere, to make a point of what he believes in, which is a liberal, secular democracy, and something he's very proud of, and something that's very constitutional. Again, in the Constitution of India, which Nehru and Ambedkar had a role in, and the RSS had no role in.
Tuhin, I want you to respond. I want you to respond that Rahul Gandhi is speaking where he's finding the space and the platform. And it's not new for politicians to choose friendly spaces and platforms to make their views held. Frankly, the days of hard-hitting interviews with politicians have gone.
Over.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. So Rahul Gandhi is also choosing a friendly audience and, a space that suits him to say what he wants.
I really don't understand Rahul Gandhi's idea of being liberal. If his idea of being liberal or woke is to legitimize China's, China's malafide intentions, or if it is to legitimize Pakistan's sponsored terrorism in the country, then God save the Congress party. They are not even aware why they are increasingly becoming extinct. And I can tell you, like you mentioned, not only have they squandered away whatever minimal gains which may have come to them through the Bharat Jodo Yatra, but this particular speech of his will not be forgotten by the country for a very long time. He doesn't know what his audience is.
May I
His
ask
audience is
Tamanna?
probably abroad.
Tamanna, may I
One
ask?
minute, Frank.
It is a conglomeration of the. It is a conglomeration
May I
of
ask
the
Tuhin?
CCP or.
Tamanna, may I ask Tuhin? The idea
Yeah.
of his speech was a comparison between a liberal democracy like the United States of America and an authoritarian regime like China, and he spoke about two models. How, within a comparison, which is an intellectual speech at Cambridge, a university he's gone to, the university acknowledges he went there. Some people are fighting to hide which university they went to. Why is that so shocking for the BJP? He's making an intellectual point of a comparison between two models. Why are you so defensive about China, Tuhin? Or why is the BJP so touchy about China? I don't understand. Be liberal, be democratic. Why be so touchy about China?
Tehseen, neither, I'm sorry, but you can consider his speech intellectual. Neither was it intellectual. It was intellectually challenged, number one. Two, he never has a sense of occasion. He doesn't know what to say when. And as I think you should be worried about the fate of the Congress party. Today, the only allies that the Congress party has are external allies, be it Hindenburg, be it George Soros, be it the BBC. Why don't you focus on internal allies? The internal allies will come when you are more sensitive to the country, which is not happening.
Yes. You accused Rahul Gandhi of being hand in glove with a British MP. Here's the most honorable Prime Minister with this British MP. The same British MP you accused Rahul Gandhi of being hand in glove with. Here, for your viewers.
1 minute.
And this is Economic Times, not
1
WhatsApp.
minute. I think we need to narrow focus what the conversation is about.
After his particularly notorious stand post the abrogation of Article 370.
No, Tuhin, 1 minute. You said that Rahul Gandhi's speech was not intellectual, it was intellectually challenged. You said he has no idea of, what he has to say where. So you're describing him as someone who's bumbling and not really an effective politician. So why are you worried? You're saying that the speech will be long remembered. Frankly, people are talking about the speech after the BJP has responded to it.
It brings disrepute to the country.
It's after you have responded to it that people have started looking at what he actually said.
No, I'll tell you why we are worried, because at the end of the day, Congress still is the primary opposition party in the country, and the Congress people defy him. So whatever he says, his utterances bring disrepute to the country. That is why we are worried.
I want to get 1 minute. I want to get an expert view. I want to get an independent view on this. Does it bring bad repute to the country? That's why I've invited former Ambassador Achal Malhotra here. Mr. Malhotra, I know you don't want to get involved in the political fight, but I think it's important to understand this, because as we know, it is not unusual in any democracy for leaders of opposition at that time to even abroad talk about what they perceive as the issues in their country. Does this, in the Indian context, and what Rahul Gandhi has said at Cambridge, does it harm or malign India's image on an international platform? Because that's the primary charge today.
Yes, Tamanna, I would not like to go into the merits of what Rahul Gandhi said. as a diplomat, we were always trained to project the best possible image of our country and defend it by using coherent and powerful arguments to the extent possible. I personally feel that politicians cutting across the party lines must also follow this code of conduct. There is, the freedom of speech is one thing, but we must also understand what should we speak and what point of time should we speak. And unfortunately, in my country today, whether it is ruling party, opposition party, we are not following that code of conduct, neither at home nor abroad. At home, we have come down to the culture of gali galos, and whenever we are abroad, we are demolishing each other. And the fact of the matter is that I have heard many, political leaders, responsible political leaders, speaking abroad and trying to demolish all the past history of the country, as if the country started, the modern history starts from a particular year. So I think this is a code of conduct we must follow.
But
At the end of
Mr.
the day,
Malhotra,
he was addressing.
may I ask one?
Yeah.
Just may I ask, sir? The code of conduct you've described, and you've said rightly, is obviously part of your diplomatic training and for the diplomatic corps. He's a politician. Why should that code of conduct extend to him? Are you saying that he should also behave like an ambassador of the country?
No,
and then coming back to the specific question I asked, does this really impact the way the rest of the world, or in this case Cambridge or the UK or the US, looks at India, views at India?
No, at the end, no, first thing first. Yes, I think every Indian is responsible. Every Indian is India's ambassador when he or she is on a foreign soil. So certain degree of responsibility automatically comes. You have to choose your words before you utter them. Now coming to the impact. He was speaking to a young generation, and normally, usually the Western countries, they have hardly, there's a very little interest in what is happening in Asia or developing countries. So whatever they hear, probably they some kind of an impression is left on them. And let's also not forget that there are many lobbies in the Western world which are also pushing a certain kind of narrative, questioning India's credentials as a truly genuine democratic
Okay, I'm
country.
going to get Swati Malik's response to this point. Every Indian should behave like an ambassador of the country on foreign soil. As a very senior and very important politician in the opposition scheme of things and in your party, could Rahul Gandhi have treated this opportunity differently? And this question comes up whenever he goes abroad to speak. It's almost as if this is the only platform he feels like he can give his views and be heard. Why is that not in India?
Tamanna, what was the impression that the government created globally when it banned the BBC film? What is the impression that is the government creating by being so rattled and reacting the way it is, even internally, even within the country? Today, with internet, with your channel, everything is global. So we have to be responsible everywhere, not just outside, but also within the country. But what is the government trying to show, or what image is the government trying to create globally for India when it bans protesters, when it bans the whole university, the JNU? You know what happened there. 20,000 for
No, I'm not understanding how this answers my question, Swati ji.
I'll tell you
how
why.
How does this answer my question?
It will, Tamanna. All of us are responsible for the image that we are creating for our country globally. So whether we are within India or outside India, for that matter. And what Mr. Rahul Gandhi said, like I said earlier, it was a part of the lecture that he was giving out there, which was connected with Bharat Jodo Yatra, and how Mr. Poonawalla, he described very well about how the three models were compared. So to pick up one line and say that, he was praising China and he was putting down the Indian democracy, we are very confused today. The moment anybody challenges or questions the Prime Minister, we are called to be anti-nationalists. Anybody who criticizes the Prime Minister, anybody who dissents with the government today is being criticized and
Swati
called
Malik, can I ask you a bigger question? We've talked about, and I've mentioned what has happened in the last elections. A political party at the end of the day, of course, has to espouse ideas and its ideology. But to survive as a political party, it has to win some votes. It has to win some elections. What is Rahul Gandhi doing about that?
Rahul Gandhi...
His strategy of Bharat Jodo Yatra and then this Cambridge lecture and then becoming the focal point of you said this, you said that, seems inexplicable as a political strategy.
Tamanna,
what is the plan?
The focal point, the only reason we are all having this debate is because the narrative that is being tried to create by the BJP. Please understand that. And when you talk about winning elections, let's also, when you talk about minority and how these elections have just been won in a minority state, let's not forget the percentage of minority voters in UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, etc. There are other minorities as well in this country, and not just what in Nagaland or Meghalaya. Right? So when you talk about winning elections, yes, elections will be won like they won in Himachal. They will be won. The states, and this is a democratic setup, and this is the beauty that the Congress has created for 60 years, which Mr. Modi called garbage for 60 years. But this is the beauty of democracy, where Congress had created a sort of a system.
I want to get one last word from the ambassador, Achal Malhotra, because Tehseen and Swati have both brought up comments made. Mr. Malhotra, through your many years of experience, is it unusual for politicians, Indian politicians, to diss their opponents, to badmouth or to target their opponents on foreign soil? We've seen it from parties in power. We've seen it from parties out of power. Any government that is going and saying that they've done better than their predecessors also takes the opportunity to take pot shots at them.
Tamanna, I don't think in my career I did not come across any such situation when visiting Indian dignitaries, whether they were from the political, from the ruling or from the opposition, viewed those kind of views, so openly and so blatantly, trying to demolish each other. This trend is only, I think, relatively recent, and I can vouch for it. I was never a witness to this kind of an open, bashing each other on the foreign soil. When you do it on the foreign soil, it's taken note of in the foreign audience much more than if it is done on the Indian soil. Because what we report here is hardly heard or hardly taken note of in Western countries in particular. You can go through their media coverage of India, you will see it for yourself. Even big visits are, get a very little space. So I go back to my firm opinion that whenever we are abroad, we must behave an ordinary citizen to an ambassador to a political leader, whether in the opposition or in the ruling. And let me also add one more thing, that perhaps Rahul Gandhi could have used this occasion for in a different manner. Like he could have focused on many other issues of global importance, and juxtaposed it with the title of the speech, communicating or listening or learning from the experiences. In so many things, we must listen to, for example, the developed countries must listen to the developing countries, and they must, see what are their priorities, how we can bring about.
Ambassador Malhotra's point is this opportunity could be better used. Did he end up maligning India? As the BJP says, are they giving it more credence than perhaps the press it received in the UK is also a question there. Was there any political sense of doing this right now? And did it squander the Bharat Jodo Yatra gains? Is also a pertinent question. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the first debate. And Tehseen, congratulations again. I think you will have plenty of time to join us because you have sleepless nights ahead with a newborn. But we'll take a very short break here. On the other side, because we promised to go beyond the headline, you've probably all seen the headline about how Arshad Varsi, best known as his role of circuit in Munna Bhai, is involved in some stock market scam. What is it? What is a pump and dump scheme? I'm coming back to explain that. Stay tuned.